Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we'll be looking at the French premium tier 6 light cruiser, the Grasse. Now the original ship was built by the French but never got completed during World War II because before they got around to building more than a hull, the Germans actually invaded and then the Germans were planning to turn it into an aircraft carrier and they never really got around to that either, because they ran out of materials. So in the end, at the end of the war, she was incomplete. And she was turned later, I think in the 1950s, remodeled and turned into an anti-aircraft cruiser until she was eventually scrapped in the 1970s. So the ship we're seeing here is down to the original blueprints with 9 guns in 3 triple turrets and torpedo launchers. So not the later anti-aircraft setting. Let's have a closer look at her statistics. She's a light cruiser, so she doesn't have basically any armor whatsoever to speak of. She's very similar to the tier 6 German light cruiser, the Nürnberg, which made me very excited because the Nürnberg used to be one of my favorite ships. She's quick with 33 knots. And she has 152 millimeter guns in 3 triple turrets. They do less armor piercing damage than the Nürnberg, because the German ships are always very good at armor piercing. But she does a lot more high explosive damage. And she's got 2 triple torpedo launchers compared to the 6 launchers on each side that the Nürnberg has. But she's got 8 kilometer range on the torpedoes. So it took me a couple of games to actually get a feel for where her strengths lie. And in the first games, I didn't really get anything done and got sunk very quickly. So this ship is fast. As you've seen, she's got 33 knots as a top speed. And she has, if you look at the details, she actually has the tier 2 engine accelerator. So you'll be very, very tempted to just take point with this ship. But she also has a rather large detection range. She's can be detected from 8.7 kilometers away. So if you speed into battle with this ship, you have more or less destroyer armor. You're a light cruiser. You have a citadel. You'll be the first ship everybody sees. You will be focused down very, very quickly. So what is this ship really good at? Now, let's before we get to the details on how to play her, let's have a look at how I've outfitted her. By default, premium ships come with all the upgrades. For the elite setting, I've gone with the elite gun operator. So I've gotten the reload time down by 3% and gotten a bit more turret traverse speed. She has the turrets up front, the 2 turrets, and she's got a single turret in the rear, which is the opposite alignment of the Nürnberg, which has the twin turrets on the rear, making the Nürnberg a very good ship for running away and shooting at people while doing so. This is more a ship to run up to people and shoot forward while angling. She has, in my setup, the reload modification in the first slot to go with the reload time booster for another 5%. And my standard light cruiser setup is always going with the steering gear modification, because you really, especially with fast ships, they have a tendency not to turn very well. And you really need to be able to turn around, disengage, or just dodge and bob and weave with this ship, because you can absolutely not be shot at by anything larger, heavy cruisers, battleships. You will be shredded in no time. So taking that into account, if we look at the statistics again, I've got the turn time down to under 7 seconds, which is pretty decent. If we compare her to the Nürnberg's at 5.7 seconds, so she's still not quite as nimble, but she's a tick faster, especially with the speed boost on. The guns, I've got the reload time down to 7 seconds, which again, if we compare it to the Nürnberg, is even a little bit better. Now the Nürnberg has problems with the 150 millimeter guns of actually doing damage against battleships, because she only does 400 high explosive damage And she has a 4% chance of setting fire. And here's the secret for the Grasse. She does almost 500 high explosive damage and has a 7% chance of setting fire, putting her up there with the Soviet and the Japanese ships. But with a 7-second reload and 12 guns, you can set a lot of fires with this ship very easily. So this is, despite her speed, not a ship to take point with. This is a ship to quickly relocate, and this is a distance fighter. The same goes with the torpedoes. 8.1 kilometers means you can shoot torpedoes from quite a distance away. And the anti-aircraft defense is okay for a ship of that tier and this size. Again, if we compare it to the Nürnberg, she's slightly better. Probably paying homage to the fact that she was later rebuilt as an anti-aircraft cruiser, because she also gets the anti-aircraft fire defensible cooldown. So that's a role she's not still great in, because you don't have as much anti-aircraft power as a battleship in tier 6. It's not like the higher tier cruisers like the British Neptune or Minotaur, which have really massive anti-air defenses. But in a pinch, you can still use her in that role. So looking at the commander skills, I've only got a 4-point commander because this is my first French ship. I've gone with my obvious choice for the first tiers, the underwater protection expert and the torpedo alert. I had a hard choice to choose for the third tier because the damage control cooldown would have been really nice. So would have been the preheating for getting the initial boost. But then again, I don't want this ship to take point. I don't want the ship to be the first one spotted. And she has a rather large detection range. So I could have gone with more camouflage to get that down. But I don't feel like her to be a sneaky cruiser at all. I feel that she's a ranged ship. She's a ship that fights from a distance and can do massive damage with setting fires and doing torpedoes. And she can relocate very quickly to be where she needs to be. So I didn't go with that either. I went with the artillery maintenance expert, trying to stay out of trouble and getting this extra bonus to the shell dispersion. And the victorious charge for recovering hit points. Again, I could have here gone with the air defense expert, but I don't think she has that much of a power in her anti-aircraft defenses that it would make a difference. Also, you don't play against carriers every single time. So I chose to go with slightly more hit points because one thing you will see with the ship, you get damaged a lot. She only has 24,000 hit points, and you will lose these hit points relatively quickly. So getting a little bit of health back is not a bad thing. All right, so let's see how she plays. We'll just take her into a standard battle, on a random battle on the American server, and we'll see how this goes. We've got 3 battleships, an enemy de Grasse on the other side, and we've got just 1 destroyer, a couple of cruisers. So that's going to get interesting. Golden Channel, we really have to resist the temptation here to rush, because it's too easy. If you're the first one spotted, you get shot at first. It's too easy to just be focused down. On the other hand, there's only 1 destroyer on each side, so we might have to risk it. Just get in there for the quick cap, and then get out of there again. On this map, it really matters who controls the cap circle, just because of the amount of points that comes in from that. So getting early control of the cap circle is not a bad thing to do at all. But after that, we quickly want to disengage and hide behind one of these islands. We could take left flank, but it looks like the battleship's all on the right. So again, this is not a ship you want to be flanking with or get separated with, because you will get focused down relatively quickly. And she doesn't have, yes, I agree, she doesn't have any health whatsoever or armor. Okay, now we want to disengage, and this destroyer is running straight into enemy fire. And we are detected already, so that's going to be the enemy destroyer. And there's the enemy, the Grasse. And of course, he's immediately focusing on us. So let's do the same thing and see that we get out of here. Because there we got our first fire up. And there are the blind torpedoes going into the central part of the approach. That's usually where they come. There's a Leander over here. So she's got torpedoes, so we gotta be a little bit careful, and we don't want to rush ahead at all. Let's put her into reverse.
We hit the enemy.
Let's send torpedoes this way in case she turns in. No, it doesn't look like, so these are gonna miss.
Torpedoes.
Yeah, there's an enemy Kirov. Okay. Some firing on this guy. Yeah, he's dead. If you're on a light cruiser, you don't run ahead like this. There's the enemy, the Grasse. And it looks like our battleships have caught up, so this is a good time to actually get moving. Ah, it's a Farragut. So send some torpedoes this way again, just in case the Leander decides to reverse out of it. There she comes. Yeah, I've seen that one coming a mile away. Hello. And goodbye. Okay, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves here. So, there's the enemy, the Grasse. We want to turn out on this guy, and we do not want to get into a knife fight with him. Although he's getting focused down nicely by our battleships. We're still controlling the cap circle. This is the all-important part. Okay, that was a good one. And now the enemy is down to 1 destroyer and 3 battleships, and they're all concentrated on the far side. There is the Farragut. So, since we're in a cruiser, this is our job now to hunt this guy down. So we do not want him to get anywhere near our battleships. So we're currently not spotted. So let's quickly get around here. Let's see where he's going. It looks like he's turning in. Hello, Mr. Farragut. Let's go and chase him down. We're controlling the cap circle. We've got the points lead. We've got the ship's lead. And their destroyer has just made a big error by running straight into the whole of our fleet. So he's not really going to be surviving for very long. He's probably trying to get a sneaky torpedo run in onto that battleship over there. See if we can lob them over this. Not quite. But we can totally get a salvo in from here. Yep, you're under fire.
Good job.
Okay, that one's gonna miss. We've got 1:30 left, so we've got some time to play with the battleships. Let's see if we can get this Farragut first, unless somebody else gets her. Okay, we do not want to get close to the battleships, so let's take the... Oh, so close.
Target locked.
Come on. And she's dead. Now, we do not want to get close to these guys. That Bayern is turning in, so let's send some torpedoes her way. And just open up the distance and not be broadside to her. They're recapping, but it's far too late. I don't even have to bother. Let's open up as far as we can, because the further away, it looks like she picked up some speed, so these torpedoes are going to miss. And she's got other battleships on her, so we might as well do a close-up run. She's turning away. Yeah, she's doomed. Let's get the torpedo, let's get the speed boost up. And since we've got the 2 forward turrets, we can actually focus fire pretty nicely on her. The other battleships are doing a good job of contesting the cap. And for us, the job is to see if we can set some more fires and just generally support our New Mexico here. I think we don't even get to the point where we can set torpedoes because she's going to be dead by then. And the battle's about to end. Ah, she goes. We get another salvo off. Yeah, not anymore. So that was a good game. And I think this kind of really shows the strength of the ship. Stay back, support your ships, don't get close, don't get focused down, especially by battleships and heavy cruisers. And you can do really, really well in this ship. So let's have a quick look at how we did. We did 45,000 damage. We got 2 ships destroyed. And that went well. That was a good round. That New Mexico did very well as well. Killed that Bayern pretty nicely. And the enemy team, the enemy de Grasse didn't have a good game. She got focused down. She got too far ahead. And the destroyers weren't able to do any kind of impact at all. So good game all in all. I like this ship. I really like her. You have to know how to play her. You have to keep your distance, use your torpedoes, use your firepower, use your high explosive shells to set fires. And especially if you have the time and the luxury of focusing on a ship without getting too much return fire. Once they extinguish the first fire, if you manage to get a second fire or a third fire going, after that, fires will stick and you'll keep doing damage. So especially against bot players, if you find these, because bot players don't extinguish fires, try to set as many fires as possible on the bot players early on and just let the damage tick in. So I really enjoyed this. I got her out of the rank shop. I think she's on sale in the regular shop as well. The camouflage is nice, the historic camouflage. It actually really looks pretty. I think this is one of the prettiest camouflages in the game. It plays with the contrast and the shadows. Unfortunately, she doesn't do anything for concealment. So still, even with camouflage, expect the ship to be spotted at all times. But she does give a little bit more hit points, increase the firing range, which is really the thing you want to do. And maybe at some point I'll spend some money and get that. I'll just be playing her for a little bit more, since also she's the first French ship I was having. But I really enjoyed her. So if you want to get her, this is the playstyle I would recommend for this ship. And if that suits you, and if you think this is going to be fun and setting fires to things is your kind of passion, then totally go for her. I think she's a really nice tier 6 premium ship. That's it for today. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.